Now, international students are rejoicing as the federal government is set to open Australia's borders from December 1. Joining me live is Overseas Student Australia CEO Sam Sharma. Sam, a very good morning to you. This is great news, isn't it, for international students?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. It's a big news for international students. They've been stuck overseas for more than 20 months now. And it's not only good for students as well, it's good for Australian economy as well as, it supports thousands of jobs and it brings billions of dollars to our economy as well.
Well, let's talk about the numbers because it's a huge amount of people, young people coming to Australia, isn't it?
Yes, it's usually in the past, we were getting around 500,000 students each year. And that's a huge number. And government is estimating around 200,000 students, and other temporary visa holders will be entering this financial year. So it's a very big number, and it adds up around $40 billion to our economy as well. So huge numbers to say, nonetheless.
Yeah, there's other positive news with it as well, isn't it? Because often the students will come out, they study, but they also need to hold down part-time jobs to keep them moving. And with that comes an opportunity for employers to have people to do jobs that at the moment they're struggling to get people for.
Oh, it's a big shortage, as you know already, in a lot of places, and international students fill those sort of positions. Borders been shut for so long, international students not being able to come, and that those consequences we are seeing in, especially in hospitality, retail industries. Every day, you get the reports that whether these retailers like Kmart's, Office Works, struggling to get people, and hospitality in general, like cafes and restaurants, they're struggling to get employees. So I'm pretty sure they will be looking forward to having all these students back. And good for the students as well who will be coming, and they'll be able to find those jobs easily in Australia.
Where do most of the students come from?
I think the majority do come from China and India. They are two big markets for Australia. But apart from that, we get students from Nepal, Vietnam, Malaysia, a lot of South American countries, and some European countries as well, where we get our students from. But I think the top 5 includes China, India, Nepal, Vietnam, Malaysia. So these 5 contributes the most.
The whole COVID situation, as we know, moves and changes quite quickly. We're seeing this new variant predominantly out of Africa, but a lot of restrictions are being placed in other parts of the world. Do you see that affecting what's happening here?
Yeah, the things is evolving so quickly with this pandemic. We don't know, what sort of things it's holding in the future. But it's definitely concerning many students at the moment. We had discussions with students yesterday as well, and as soon as the news came out that this new variant is causing many countries to close their borders, it's concerning students, especially those who have just booked their flights. Some of them actually booked their flights, for the early December. So they're like, okay, hopefully we can make it within those time frames. Otherwise, we never know if the borders get shut again. It is like uncertain, environment we're living in at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the borders opening, if it all sticks to plan, there are heavy restrictions in and around what the student needs to have done, like obviously double vaccination and PCR tests.
Yeah, so students who will be arriving in Australia, they'll have to, make sure that they're fully vaccinated with the TGA-approved vaccines. They'll also need to have a negative PCR test within 72 hours within their flight times. So they'll need to organize all this. Plus, they need to do some declarations when they're coming into Australia. So there are a lot of things that students will need to do when they're arriving in Australia. And it is also challenging for students to understand what sort of quarantine requirements do they need to meet. For example, if they land in Melbourne, can they go to Western Australia after that? Students are asking us questions whether they can land in New South Wales. Can they cross the border to Queensland? So there's a lot of confusion regarding those things and situations.
The Australian rules have been some of the toughest in the world. Do you see an element of hesitancy coming from international students, many thinking, well, this is just too hard basket stuff to come to Australia?
There's definitely that some students will be taking that route. They probably will be, looking at other countries and other opportunities that they might like to see. But I think Australia does have its own unique, educational structure, and students definitely, many of the students that we speak to, they are still keen to come to Australia. The only thing was, they were uncertain when the borders will actually reopen. That was one of the, biggest question and doubt in their mind. And that was, making them think whether they should study in Australia or somewhere else. But now, with the announcement by the federal government, I think that's, giving a bit more certainty to those students who are coming to Australia that, yeah, Australia is open for business, and you're welcome to come back and enjoy your studies and enjoy the lifestyle and culture in Australia.
Thanks, Sam. Appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.